ಅಣ್ಣಗಳಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿರಯ್ಯ ಮಣ್ಣಿಂದ ಕಾಯ ಮಣ್ಣಿಂದ ಮಣ್ಣಿಂದ ಕಾಯ ಮಣ್ಣಿಂದ.
In this class, we will discuss about objectives and importance of shallow foundation. This you work by your own. What are the objectives of shallow foundation? Why we provide a shallow foundation? What are the importance of shallow foundation? This is a general statement. You can work on this. Now, requirements of good foundation or suitability of good foundation. And what are the requirements, what are the criteria which governs your foundation? To design any foundation, what all features you need to look after? One of those features are called as requirements of good foundation. Good foundation, either it might be a deep foundation or shallow foundation. We will restrict our study for shallow foundation in this lecture. Now, there are 4 main requirements, but actually speaking, there are only 2 main requirements, but still I have made it a 4 requirements. Now we will go to them, and what are those 2 which are very important, that also I will explain. The first one is, it must sufficiently deep to be free from seasonal climatic effects such as frost damage, including possible thawing in permafrost areas, damage from adjacent construction, or possible score from water flow. They say that the foundation which you are going to provide below the ground level, it should be very safe. It should be in a very safe place. Means it should not be affected by any. It should not be affected by any seasonal climate effects like frosting, means icing. The water inside the soil may become ice. When it becomes ice, it expands its volume. When it expands, it puts some extra pressure on the foundation. That should not cause. And thawing, okay, this melting of the ice, and damaging adjacent constructions. If any adjacent constructions are happening, and that pressure bulb may come and hit your foundation, therefore that also should not be there. Or possible score of water flow, there should not be any scoring or erosion of soil near to the foundation. In that place only you need to put your foundation. Or if anything unavoidable circumstances are there, then you need to take care of them. For example, Taj Mahal is there. Taj Mahal foundation is near to the Yamuna river. Yamuna river is flowing full, flooding, sometimes even flooding. It comes and strikes to your Taj Mahal. Still the Taj Mahal settlement is not observed. Taj Mahal foundation is still, it is good. Okay, why? Because the foundation, when they want to build the foundation, they have come across this scoring from water, these all properties and all, therefore it is safe. The foundation must also be located below any topsoil or organic material or any unconsolidated soil, such as filled in areas or abandoned garbage dumps, etc. They say that foundation what you are going to provide in an area where garbage fill is there, or any filled materials are there, any dumped materials are there, then your foundation must go well below that dump. Okay, then the third one is, this is a very important criteria, it must be safe from breaking into the grounds, that is bearing capacity failure. When you provide a foundation, when you apply load to the foundation, the soil below the foundation should not fail. When there are 2 things, you need to apply the load which the soil is capable to hold it. Only that much you need to apply. And if your load is more than the soil's capacity, then you need to increase the capacity of the soil. Understood? In these 2 ways, whichever is convenient, you need to consider and you need to apply the load. Therefore, the soil below the foundation should not fail in a shear, that is your bearing capacity failure. First main criteria. Then the settlement of the structure might be kept within the tolerable limits. See, you are building the structure on the soil, and soil is always a compressible material. You cannot say that the settlement should be zero. You cannot avoid the settlement, but you can have a tolerable settlement, minimum settlement. IS code, Indian standard code gives you what are the permissible settlement for different type of soil. And if your type of soil, that category is there, you just check with the Indian standard code and you consider the settlement and you work on that one. Your foundation settlement should not exceed the permissible settlement provided by standards. This is the second criteria. Therefore, I call these two criteria are very important criteria. One is soil should not fail in shear, and the second one is settlement should be within the permissible limit. Okay now. Now in this class we will just go through the Indian Standard Code 456 2000, IS 456 2000. There some foundation articles are there. Articles related to foundation are there. We will just go and read them and come back to the foundation, so that it will help us when we go for design. Now we will discuss the clauses which are given in IS 456 2000 one by one, okay, and which are very useful for the design of shallow foundation. Okay. The first one in clause 26.4.2.2, here it is given minimum nominal cover. It says that the minimum nominal cover for the footing should be more than that of the other structural elements. Other structural elements means what? Beams, columns, slabs. How much cover you are going to give, compared to that your footing cover should be more. Okay, as because the footing is in direct contact with the soil, and soil property and moisture content will vary time to time, therefore the cover should be more than that. It prescribes that minimum cover of 50 mm for footing is given. Minimum 50 mm cover is given. However, the actual cover may be even more depending on the presence of harmful chemicals, minerals or water table. Understood? The cover is how much? 50 mm for footing. The second clause is the thickness of footing edge. Okay, let us consider this is your footing. This is your footing and here you got an edge. The thickness of footing edge. Okay, the thickness of footing edge of reinforced and plain concrete footings shall be at least 150 mm for the footings on soil. If you are putting the footing on the soil, then this thickness should be how much? 150 mm at least. And the footing which you are providing above the pile, okay, that is at least 300 mm above the top of piles for footing on piles. Pile, above the pile also will give sometimes footing. Say for example, see, this is your pile foundation and above that we will provide another footing. Okay, this thickness is how much? This should be, they said 300, and if it is on soil only, then it should be 150 mm. Okay, this clause says like this, and this is at least dimensions 150 and 300. Think that you got a very huge dimension, say this much. Here in this diagram you can see you got a very large depth for the bed, for this spread, and to minimize some concrete, to reduce some cost of the concrete, Indian Standard Code suggests one line here, one imaginary line here. This line will pass from the bottom edge of the footing to the top face edge of the column. Okay, and this line will be with the angle alpha, and this alpha is calculated by using the formula, that is tan alpha should be less than or equal to 0.9 root of 100 q naught by fck plus 1, where q naught it is given as calculated maximum bearing pressure at the base of pedestal in Newton per mm square. What is this? Maximum bearing pressure at the base of the pedestal. Okay, base of the pedestal, whatever the maximum bearing pressure is there, that bearing pressure you need to take, and FCK, the concrete strength, you need to take and substitute that and calculate the alpha. And the alpha, after calculating whatever the that amount, the angle line you will get here, this concrete you can remove, means you can have a foundation this way. Now we didn't see any foundation with a sharp cutting edge at this corner, no? Therefore, but we will be seeing always this type of isolated foundations. Then how to decide this inclination, this inclination is decided based on this parameter. Okay, however, we provide this 150 mm here also, but Indian standard not suggest that one, but still we will provide 150 here. And if your dimension is more than the depth of this one is more than the 150, then at the edge you can provide 150, and at this point you can have some inclination here with an angle alpha, and you can save some material provided here. And even if you provide this bigger size also, no problem, that is also very safe. But to save a material, you can remove this portion, and have your slab, you have your footing this way. Okay, now calculation of bending moment. In Indian standard class 34.2 says this way. This one you need to understand clearly. We will use this technique in our design also. See here, if this is a plan of footing, let us consider rectangular footing, and this is a column, and you need to determine the bending moment. Now I will draw the elevation. This is the elevation, and they say that the maximum bending moment, to calculate maximum bending moment, we should have a critical sections, and critical sections are predetermined in the Indian standard code. It is preset, and that critical section, if the column is rectangular or square, you need to draw one section which is touching to the face of the column. Okay, this is called as a critical section. This is in the top plan way, in the top view, and that section passes through this way. This is your critical section. And now you need to consider the slab here, means this slab acts as a cantilever. Okay, your force will come like this column load and the soil pressure, this acts as a cantilever. And what is the moment here, that moment you need to calculate considering this side of the section. Of course you can consider this side of the section, because bending moment will give you same answer. For easy purpose we will consider this portion and we will calculate bending moment, and this bending moment we need to consider for calculation of steel and some other parameters. Okay, this is called as critical section, and we need to consider like this only. This is for column. And if your wall footing is there, this is a wall, and there is a bed here this way, this is a bed this way, a plan you can see like this. This is a wall, not like this, the very length wall. And here, if this is the center line and this is the face of the wall, then in between these two you need to get one more line, that is the midway between center line and face of the wall. One line you will get here, that you need to consider it as a critical section. Let us consider this is a wall, then your slab will be like this, your wall will be like this is the footing, and your section will be here. This consider it as a cantilever and design the determine maximum bending moment. Okay, and if your column is a circular one, or if your column is a octagonal or any other regular shape, then what we need to do? Okay, and you provide your footing like this, and Indian standard says that you need to draw one square inscribing the circle, or one square inscribing inside any other regular shape. Then the face of the inscribed column you need to consider for the section purpose, this one. Okay, and when you consider this as a critical section, then this side you can consider bending moment. And here whatever the bending moment you get it calculating by this way, then the steel whatever you calculate based on this bending moment, those steel will be kept here. And you can take another critical section passing this way, and this you will get another cantilever, and the steel whatever you get that you can put here. Like that you can determine the bending moment, and based on the bending moment you determine the steel. Now we will discuss about shear. Here in shear we have a two different type of shear. Now we will discuss about shear. Here in shear we have a two different type of shear. One is one-way shear and second one is two-way shear. Okay. See, this is a column. This is a slab. And the plan will be this way, and elevation will be this way. Here to calculate a shear, we want again critical section for shear. Critical section for shear it is given here in 34.2.2 of IS 456. It says that from the face of the column you need to come a distance d, from distance d, and draw one section. Okay, this is d distance, means from the face of the column come a distance d and draw one vertical section. At this section you need to calculate shear force. Usual definition for shear force, that is the vertical forces either left side or right side of the section. We will consider right side of the section and we will calculate the shear force at this section, and that is considered as a critical shear, one-way shear. Okay, na? This is for columns, and this footing is resting on soil. If this footing is resting on piles that I already explained, then this distance will be d by 2. Then what is d? D is thickness of footing slab. This is called as the footing slab, and the thickness of the footing slab is considered as a d, and this d you will calculate it based on the bending moment, and after getting this d you will go for shear considering this one. This is your one-way shear, and two-way shear is this way. If this is a foundation, this is the column and this is the slab, then your two-way shear will be, the critical section for two-way shear will be, you need to draw this way, d by 2 come away from the face, d by 2 away from the face, d by 2 away from the face, d by 2 away from the face, then you will get one rectangle perimeter. Okay, means this rectangular perimeter whatever you get here, in that way you need to go deeper, you will get one peripheral area. Okay, there you need to calculate shear stress. This is your critical section for two-way shear, punching shear. In problem I will explain clearly that what is punching shear. Okay, just you remember, this is a column. From the face of the column d by 2 distance we will get one circumference, one perimeter, and perimeter into depth we will get one area, and for that area we need to calculate a shear stress, that is your punching shear. And usually as usual, table number 19 and some other table number 19a and table number 19a and b, you will calculate nominal shear, critical shear, and you will compare both of them, and whether to give stirrups or not, that is shear reinforcement or not, that we will go. Some other clauses are there, for example bond and development length, and tensile reinforcement minimum and maximum, and providing the tensile reinforcement, or panels of, or main bars, distribution bars, etc. These all I will explain by considering one problem. In next class I will consider one simple problem. That problem I will take a lot of time to explain. That problem I will explain in detail. Even that is a very small problem, but I will explain in detail, and after explaining that, the further problems I will go very fast. Thank you.